So I guess technically it's September 14th, but I tried to come on the 13th. I was just a minute late. Welcome. It's Lori from Lori's Little Bit of Crafting. Late night, Lori. Making a mess, trying to figure out what I want to do. And let's see what we can get rolling here. I'll wait for my devices to catch up with me. And I'll check some sound. All right, looks like I've got some sound so I can see if anybody's coming live with me and commenting. I continued from yesterday in making just a boatload of sourdough rolls and some salads and stuff. We had a family celebration today. We got back late. I was just wiped out. So I came into the craft room and thought, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And just started playing with this paper a little bit because I really like it. And again, I just wasn't sure what I was going to end up doing. So we're just going to see what happens. Now, I cut a bunch. Excuse me. I was outside a lot today. Time for a little cough drop. I was outside quite a bit today because the weather was great and this family celebration was outside. So let me just get some of these things organized here. Hopefully. And I think the card layout that I have should be pretty easy. Hello, Robert. Hello, Nicole. How are you? So yeah, I don't have anything specific planned. We're just gonna fly by the seat of our pants again. And hopefully the layout that comes to mind will work. So here's what I'm doing with my twine. If you've not seen me do this before, when I get my twines, I like to cut a hole in the bag. And either on the side, like these I did on the side, or sometimes there's a hole in the baggie. Hi, Bonnie. But this way I can unroll it without taking them out of the bag. They stay cleaner. They don't go rolling all over my desk. Although sometimes, depending on if I'm not really watching, when you start unrolling one, the other one might get wound up in there and then I end up having to fix it anyway. But for the most part, this works really well for me. So I'm just going to since I cut off a couple of pieces here, I'm just going to make a quick bow. And I'm thinking I'm going to use my bow maker because I don't know if I'm going to do a very good bow on my own today. So let's just do that. I'm going to get some water. And see where it takes us. So there's my little bow maker. I think you've all probably seen those, right? If you're local to me and if you need a bow maker, let me know because I can make more. And I'm going to just wait to trim those off. I think, well, I can trim some of this off because I know we won't need it. Hello, Rosa Vera. I don't remember if you've been here before, but welcome from California. Maybe you have. I've had a couple of people from California. But there's that. So I thought I would play with this gathering together specialty designer series paper because it is just really pretty. So I just cut a 6x6 of each of the designs. Now I played with this one other night, and I think I probably went over them. But these two are basically the same design, just one has a white background. Oh, well, I'm glad you're watching the replays. I'm glad you actually caught me live and can comment and collaborate, because that's, as if you've watched the replays, you know that's kind of what we do. So this has got a white background. This has got the basic beige background. And then this has just got the Cajun Craze with the early espresso and basic beige, so it doesn't have some of these other bright colors. And we've got just the old olive and then another plaid. But these all have the metallic, I think, do we call it metallic? Let me zoom in just a little bit. I call it metallic. The foiling, they call it foiling. But then these other sides are really pretty too. Oh, this one actually should be that side, because this has got just the little sprig thing and then some leaves and some acorns and mushrooms in here too. But the foiling on their one. So that's actually the specialty side. So when I flip these over, these are the more neutral type of sides. So we've got, this one has little circles on it. This is almost like a wood grain. And this is, they're kind of like, there's boxes in here, but there's almost like little sketch starbursts in there. And then a plaid, and this is the basic beige with kind of, I don't know if that's like a whitewash or a wooded thing. And then that's just the sprig look again. So I'm going to get this out of the way. But I cut a bunch of pieces. So, because I wasn't sure what I'd want to do. It would be great for memory album pages, and I don't do a whole lot of that, and I want to. I have a lot of the scrapbooking kits from Stampin' Up, and I've started working on some of them. We had a virtual album retreat, and I did that, and I really enjoyed it. So these are the colors that I thought I would use, because these are the colors that are from the designer series paper, although there is the basic beige as well. But I'm just going to do some really basic cards, and we're just going to put some things together. They're going to be all very similar, but they'll look a little different just because of all the colors we have. So make believe this is a single piece of 8.5 by 11. I did not score these this time because I needed half of it to do my die cuts. But normally I would, like here, if I'm going to do a landscape, which is what I'm planning on this one, I would score it at 5.5 first, and then just cut it once at 4.25. So I've already cut those. So I'm just going to go ahead and do my scores at 5.5, so that we've got a bunch of bases, and we're just going to play with color because fall is my favorite season. And I think this color combination of this paper is just gorgeous. I could say stunning, but I think that I've used that a few times this week already. So we'll say gorgeous. And maybe because I was outside today, I'm feeling a little fall-ish. I don't know. It was actually kind of warm. There were a lot of bugs, a lot of bees out today. But we survived. So let's just get these burnished and ready to go. And then I'll pull out the trimmer again because we're going to end up cutting some of these 6x6 little swatches I have. We'll end up cutting those down. Now for kicks, hello Juju. For kicks, I grabbed a basic beige that I had at my crafting table already. And I thought this one piece of designer series paper with the little dots. There's a little spot on here. I thought it looked really pretty as a layer under this. So instead of like an early espresso dark layer under there, I thought I would just use that designer series paper because it looks just like early espresso. I might be wasting the design because you won't see it. But if we cut this piece down, and let's say we just go, let's go maybe 2 inches from the bottom here. And if we flipped this over and put that on there, and then if I cut about a 1/4 inch off of here, let's see how that looks. So that could go there. And then it almost makes it look like we have a little ribbon in there. I'm going to cut another 1/4 inch off of there. So let's say let's take a 1/2 inch off altogether. And we kind of did a layout similar to this the other night. I don't remember who suggested leaving it this way, and it kind of looked like a ribbon. So then with the, let me kind of try to pull them out here. With the Label Me Grateful, this is where I got all of the foliage pieces here that I die cut. My little magnet caught my dies over here. Hang on just a second. There we go. I don't want to lose those. So this Label Me Grateful is where I cut a bunch of the labels, and then I used all of these. Well, not all of them. I used 6 of them. So I used all of these and that one to cut just a bunch of these foliage pieces. And I thought we would just kind of randomly cut them out. Yeah. And I kind of hoard my designer series paper too. That's why I thought this would be a good way to use some of that up. And I thought because that early espresso piece is something that I might not necessarily use for a card, why not just use that as my layer? So if we put that there, and then I figured I could put this here, and then I just randomly grabbed a bunch of these foliage pieces in different colors and just started laying them on here. Because these are the colors that are kind of in the series of paper. And if we just randomly put them on there, all right? So we need a sentiment, right? Or a ribbon or something. So here's, we could put this on here. I just like these die cuts with the acorns and the oak leaves and the foliage pieces. All right, so that would go there. And then, what set was it from? Okay, here. I just got this one the other day, remember? And I think I showed this last night. But this Words for the Seasons, and then there's these scripted die cuts. What is this called? Probably the same thing. Words for the Season dies. But there's one that says, whoops, happy, and then another one that says autumn. So I pulled those off of here. In fact, I'm going to put those back on here. And these pieces are nothing. Happy autumn. I'll put that back on here. I just wanted to cut out the dies just so I could see what it looked like, all of the letters, and I didn't push out all the void spots. But if you get these, be very mindful of any of the words that have the I, because you want to make sure that you save that little dot to dot your I. There should be 4 of them. And it seems like, well, there's another one. So it looks like I'm missing the one for holidays. Who knows where it went? So if I can't find it, I'll just use like an embellishment or something. But that's where I thought I could do a sentiment. Oh, let me get this out of here. Just a little um, Happy Autumn piece on here. So here's the autumn. And where is my happy? Here it is. It's stuck in my die. All right, here's happy. I love it when that works in the first try. So here's my happy autumn. And I thought if we put, you'd never have a dot. Yeah, they're easy to lose. All right. So I like the happy autumn, but how to get it on here so it is like an item on its own. So I thought what I could do is just pull out a window sheet, a little piece of window sheet. And I should have, maybe I'll do that again. I should have probably put these on with adhesive sheets, because if we put Happy Autumn on here, then I can kind of keep it all together. And all of those little scripted letters will kind of stay put because they'll be on the window sheet. And then I can just put the window sheet on here. But that doesn't stand out very good with that dark. Maybe we should just put it down at the bottom. Maybe I'll do a window sheet on another one. Yeah, putting a rhinestone on there is probably not a bad idea. I've done it when I can't find little dots. So let's, Happy Autumn might just work better here for this card. See, this is what it's like crafting with me sometimes when I don't have a full idea of what I want. We just let it happen. So if anybody has suggestions, feel free to add them. So we could do Happy Autumn this way too. All right, so there's kind of, I think that could work. And we'll get rid of that little piece there. What about using the orange color paper behind the words? So that would be the crush or the Cajun Craze. Oh, Sala's not here. She was teasing me kind of about using Cajun Craze so much last time. So, do we want to just cut? I mean, the colors would be great. Actually, the Cajun Craze might be kind of dark with these dark letters. Happy Autumn. And I zoomed in, so you guys probably can't even see that I'm playing with this. But we could cut that down and put it across there. Or I could just use a different sentiment. So we may do that too. So there's that layout. We'll think on the sentiment, because I don't want to spend just a ton of time, because I have in mind that these cards should really be pretty easy and quick to put together. Yeah, and that greenery is just random. So let's do another piece. I'm going to set these. I kind of want you to be able to see them, but oh, and I don't want to lose my window sheet just in case I decide to do something with that. So I'm just going to slide these off of here because I might be able to use those scraps for something else. All right, so I can put those over there, and then we've got all of these. And let's get this out of the way too. So that cleans things up just a little bit. All right, you like the little piece like a thin ribbon? So here, that back piece you think looks good, kind of as a faux ribbon. It breaks things up a little bit, I think. So let's do Cajun Craze. Could use scraps as a stencil on a jelly plate. Yeah, you might be able to, but I don't have a jelly plate, so I don't know what to do with that. I could branch out more. So let's try, maybe let's do a different color. Let's do the crushed curry. I think we'll go with the white crushed curry. And this I've got as a hot dog. So use scraps as a stencil on a jelly plate. Yeah, I don't know what the jelly plate is though. Is that, I know. Um, we're getting my craze on. Yeah, just ask my husband. Yeah, she's crazy. All right, so let's go ahead and trim this down. I don't want to lose any of these. So I'm going to go ahead and just take this to 4. I think I'll do 4. I'll get maybe another piece of the early espresso. And then we'll take this to 5 1/4 because that would be a normal layer size for our cards here in the US. And then if we cut about 2 inches, then we can decide what to do with this. Because basically, oh, did I do that? No, that'll work. All right, so I'm going to flip this over though. So Bonnie, you don't do it either? Yeah, I like using some of my die cuts or even some of my pieces as stencils or masks, if you will. In fact, I did that last night or the night before on one of the Christmas cards. But anyway, we're going to flip this one this way. And I don't even know if we need the background piece, but that might be good in another color. And that's what it's called. It's a jelly plate, Gelli. I'll have to look that up. All right. So we can put these just together like this, even. And if we use a little white piece here, we could use some of, this is the basic beige ribbon that I colored with early espresso. No, pecan pie. You use it with acrylic paint. Okay. Well, I do have some acrylic paints, but I usually use them for canvas. So yeah, I need to learn more how to mix my mediums and use them for other things. I think I might like this better this way. So you ladies tell me, do we need a border behind the DSP? And if we put this on here, that would work. And then we could even cut this down so it's just an odd shape. But then we'll just take some of these random pieces, maybe. I guess I'm just a little more reluctant because it's not something that I'm comfortable with. So Nicole, use the gel plates a lot. Stamps and die cuts you use for focus points or clusters. All right, cool. So when I put these on my my Facebook page, my Lori's Little Bit of Crafting, go on over there and add comments with a picture of what you use your jelly plates for or your gel plates. Just because I would like to see what it's like, you know. So let's do a little bit of acorn on here and maybe a little bit of oak leaf. And if we cut this off, do we need a layer? Yes, a border will be good. All right, so Let me go get some early espresso paper because I think that will be the best border. Not paper, but my cardstock. And I'm going to just grab 2 of those because we might need more than one. And I will cut these down off camera so I don't have to disrupt my whole work spot here. But I'm going to cut them to 4 1/8. And I'm just going to cut 4 of them right away. So 4 1/8 because our layer is 4 1/4. So I'm just going down 1/8 inch. And then we'll go 5 3/8 because that's 1/8 inch down from our 5 1/2 layer. So 2 more cuts and I'll be back on camera. Talk amongst yourselves. And I did put my wireless mic on again today, but it should be all charged because I had it plugged in overnight from last night. But if we lose sound, somebody flag me down. All right, so you've got them on your YouTube post, sewing machine, campers, a VW bus, all kinds. They're cool. I don't know what Tunisian is, but I do crochet, and I knew how to knit a long time ago, but I haven't knit for so long. It's just like in the back of my head. I know if I probably picked up a how-to book or something and refreshed myself on some of the stitches, I'd be fine. All right, so if we put this here, and don't worry, this ribbon, I'm going to tuck around here because I like the texture of the ribbon. So if we had an early espresso, excuse me, if we had an early espresso alcohol blends, I would use that one, but we don't. All right, so there's that. And if we put this back on here, I think what I could do is so that this little piece is not so in your face, I could do a little ink blending around the edges. What do you think of that? Then we just have to decide what color and how we want to do the sentiment. In fact, what if we did this, move that up a little bit, and found a little sentiment here? We could do the autumn wishes, or I thought about stamping this on here too and having it stamped off. That's right, Bonnie. We can all do different stuff. Somebody's page I had tried to find and I couldn't find it. So I wondered if I had something wrong. Oh, who was Retro Queen Bee Art? I think that was Vicky. So Bonnie's Corner, I don't remember if I've popped on your pages or not. So I could stamp this on here and just stamp it off in early espresso, and let's just see how it looks. No, I was not thinking of coloring it Mama Juju and fussy cutting because there's a die for that one. But I did think about doing a die on it. So let's just ink up a little bit, stamp off, and then put that on here. Now, if I put all of these pieces back on here, yeah, you got me once. I don't know if I trust you when you say fussy cut. Let's fussy cut. I'll be fussy cussing if we do it too much. I'm not sure that I like that, but I do kind of like that. So what if we did that on this one with the Happy Autumn on top of that? Think that could work. And then I could tie a knot on there maybe. Maybe do a little ink blending around the edge of this. Let me find the right brush. Yeah, between the early espresso and the Secret Sea, those are ones that I find that I use more than the Memento Black. Let me move this up because you might not be able to see me working very much, huh? Let's move that up. There we go. It's a little darker than I had intended, but early espresso is pretty dark. And maybe I should go ahead and get some blends and color a little bit. And just add a little more life to that. Put this on there. I think that's actually probably pretty good. I could lighten up the acorns with maybe some, crumb cake maybe? What do you think? And of course, I would have this centered a little nicer. All right, so that can be maybe card number 2. Now we could still maybe like pop a couple of things behind here maybe. What do you think of that? Somebody's sending me messages. Holy cow. I think it must be the Arizona family. I don't know if you could hear that buzzing in on my phone or not, but I might need to trim this down just a little bit. I just like that little bit of border. But what I think I'll do too with this early espresso is get a die and cut out the center that's behind these sheets of DSP so that I'm not wasting that whole sheet because, there's no real reason to do that. We could tuck that under there too. So there's the second one. So let's put this little puppy over here. I mean, I could glue it all, and it's probably going to get messed up, but I kind of want to get some sleep tonight because, I didn't go to bed yesterday morning until like 2 or 2:30, and then I had to get up before 5 o'clock for my sourdough so that I could finish making all of the rolls that I made. I did 7 batches. So each batch does 8 rolls, but they're about like this big, and then they get pretty tall. So we had 56 of them. Yeah, I didn't get to sleep till 10 o'clock. So then we're at this family celebration, which was very nice. But it's just like, I am really wiped out. I want to go home. And then I made the mistake of sitting down on the couch for a couple of minutes. So here's something I'm going to do a little different on this one. Well, I get ink on me. I'm going to trim this. And we're going to do kind of a little fun fold here. So if we've got 5.5 here, I think I need 2 3/4 to be half of that. That looks about right. And hopefully I don't have anything stuck on there. We are going to go like this. And we're going to make this a little fun fold. So I'm going to cut this to be under there. I like that. So we need, I think, 2.5. by 4 maybe. Let's just see if that works. Well, what do you know? All right, so that'll go there. And this one will go here. And then I don't know that I like that, but that might be a nice layer behind the green maybe. Just as a little kind of wild border there. Why don't I cut a couple of those and we'll see how that looks. And then here, we'll do this on here. I might have to cut that down a little bit more. Let's just do a couple of those. Yeah, it's not optimal for me to only have a few hours of sleep. I feel like I had a nap because that's not really getting any sleep. So is that my wagon is dragging today? So let's see how this looks with just a little border around there. So that's with the DSP on there. Just an itty bitty little border to make it stand out. This one, actually, we could just do this without that extra green piece. That would work. And then maybe just use, let's go here. I just cut a bunch of these. There were, I think, 6 die pieces, and I did all 6 on each of the colors. Let's do some acorns here. I don't know if I want this on here. That could work. And then if I did put that on there, I'm going to try to burnish this a little bit more. Let's stand down a little bit better, maybe. I'm trying to think. I'll put a piece of the very vanilla. I'll put a layer under there. And we'll go maybe 3 3/4 by 5. Let's see how that looks. So sometimes, like with this piece, if I were to put this here. Hello, Fifi. So if I put this here, see with that little banner piece on there, it looks kind of out of place to me. But then I could cut a piece the same size as this to put behind there, and then it would hide that sentiment piece. Not that this would look bad. I think that would still probably look okay. And that might actually tie it all together. What do you think of that? And then I think what I'll do is I'll find a long sentiment. Where did they go? And just put that on a strip. Now, I don't know if the Happy Autumn, maybe on an early espresso strip, if that would be too much. Let's take a look here. So you like it with the green rectangle behind there? That works for you? Let's see if Happy Autumn doesn't fit that way. We'd have to do it this way. Let me just glue these down and see how it looks. We're doing all right, Fifi. I'm pretty tired. I'm working on just having had a nap today. How are you? And I'm going to try to move up here because I still forget that I'm on zoomed in a little bit. I'll have to use my little eraser on that, I think. I should have used adhesive sheets for this because it would have worked better. It's a little crooked. We'll just see how this looks. Oops. Oh, yay for Relay for Life. I did that a couple of years. In fact, when I volunteered for our semi-pro, excuse me, our semi-pro football team one year, we had the guys volunteer and help out with the event to just kind of bring more attention to it. It's a good cause. I'm just trying to get just the littlest bit of glue on these. My recommendation is adhesive sheets. There we go. All right, so let's trim this down. I might have to redo that with adhesive sheets. It looks just a little wonky to me, but it might just be my fatigued eyes. Who knows? And we might not even like it, so. So that could go across here. Do you think that's too, I don't know. Do you think that's too disproportionately large for the words? So you put your glue between your thumb and your index finger and rub it in. So too much or you like it? Yeah, it's really big. So that might be one where if I did it over, if I did it over, where did my little window sheet go? I could put the words on my window sheet and then it might not seem so much in your face. If I did, well, I could try to fussy cut this too. Where's Juju asking me to fussy cut? Let's just see what it looks like. Because I'm not super happy with it already. So I can't make it any worse. You don't know if you don't try. Right? Because there's not like an outline die for this. You have the dies for the words. This might look really hokey. I don't know. We'll see. So the brown banner with the light letters or the dark letters like we did on this one that I didn't glue down yet. If you had the leaves coming out of the greeting, yeah, we could move them around. So you like the sentiment on there when I took the green line off? So the lime green off. So the rectangle here that backed it. So if I just did, this looks like a TV screen to me. So when I let that stand alone, do you mean? S- I'm almost done. Oh, without this on there. I get it. It does look kind of nice actually. And here I was thinking I just needed that piece for kind of like a background, but it could be the layer. The closer I get to the end, the more challenging it seems to be because there's less to hold on to. You're holding your breath to see if I mess it up. Oh, she just cut off the letter. Actually, that got a little close there. But that's not going to matter because if I leave it on the brown layer there, nobody's even going to see. I got it. I kind of missed the outline here, but the suspense. All right, so let's get this stuff out of the way. So if we leave this off of here, which is just the backside to that brown. All right, so if we put this here, center that a little bit better, because obviously nothing is glued yet. And we could put this like so. And then this is just a little fun fold. What do you think of that? Or would this work like behind here? Because I'm thinking that green just looks so plain. I kind of like that. But I do like the contrast with the brown behind here, the early espresso. So I think, was that Bonnie? Yeah, Bonnie suggested that. So what do you think of that? I kind of like that. Yeah, usually they don't. I mean, you guys, I think, have heard me tell the story of I made a card for somebody that I worked with, and they looked at the card and said, "Oh, that's really nice," and then they proceeded to dump it in the recycle bin right in front of me. Needless to say, I didn't make them more cards. So, what do we think about this one? I think we probably are much more critical with ourselves than anybody else receiving a card because they're just so excited that they got a handmade card and they're thinking, well, I could never do that. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, you could. Are we good with this? Opportunities for embellishments. That's right, Rosa. Don't know that white, kind of don't know. So, because this is actually all very vanilla. The lines on the green you think are too much? See, to me, it looks pretty subtle. With the white, kind of don't know. All right, so do I take, see if I take this out, that just looks super plain to me. Like I forgot to do something. And I can't really do like an embossing folder on it because then when I open the card, it's going to have just weird embossing on that one little part. Yeah, I'm just going to have to do a judgment call. But if I do the judgment call, I know what it's going to be. It's going to be putting the green back in there. Just because I think to me it looks better because it makes it just, I don't know, I think I like that better because that other, just using the cardstock just looked too plain to me. All right. Do we like the fussy cut autumn? You like the leaves coming out from the greeting and then place the greeting in the middle. Oh, like here? And just shift these other things around a little bit. Then we got a lot of just nothing going on for that very vanilla piece, but we can fix that. And then if I put some embellishments, I could do some of those streaked dots. I don't want any of the ends of the stems showing. Of course, I could always put a few more pieces on here and just cut more. So that I think would look pretty cool. Maybe some more acorns in early espresso. Oh, I'm just making a mess of this. All right, so Rosa, you like how it's fussy cut. You like the solid rectangle, the leaves coming out, greeting in the middle, green DSP over the brown. Well, I do like the contrast to the brown on the side. TV flashbacks, right? Doesn't that look like a TV screen? And then we had a stamp set. What was it? It retired with the last when we released the most current catalog. Where is it? Here. Tune In. It just reminded me of Tune In because it kind of looks like the TV screen. That's what it reminded me of. Oh, see, you gals had it. I had to look through my cards or my sets. I could envision it, but I couldn't remember what it was called. All right, so I think I kind of like this. And if I use, I could even like just do, that's a little much. But I think if I do another acorn piece maybe in early espresso, I might like it a little bit better. Or maybe another set of oak leaves in another color. But I think the layout is pretty good. Yeah, that set was very retro. I liked it. All right, so I think I kind of like the concept. I think I'll do some little tweaks. I do. I think Bonnie, I think you're the one that said the brown, and I do like that because I like the contrast and it kind of pulls in the outlines here. But I'm going to leave that green DSP on there because it just looks a little more finished. It doesn't look like I forgot to do something. So I will glue that together. And then I have Cajun Craze. So let's take a look. If we did, see that's crushed curry. Ooh. Ooh, how about some plaid? And then I thought maybe I could use some of my old rings. Excuse me. Now I had a couple of extras. Here we go. This is a real group effort. That's the idea. We like sharing ideas and collaborating. So let me cut this down. I'm just going to cut it as a small layer first, and we can kind of go from there. Don't want to be too drastic. So we are going to go 5. I'm going to do 5 3/8, and we'll do 4 1/8, and we'll just start there. Now, all of these, when I would do my card to mail out, I don't know if you ladies do it, but I do not like naked envelopes. So I take, this is too small, excuse me, but I take a piece of my DSP. Usually it's like, I'll take a 2.5 by 6 piece, and I will put glue on my flap, and then I will attach it to my flap, and then I will fussy cut, if you will, around there, because I don't like naked envelopes. And then something on here too, I could, let's say I used these leaves with a little bit of Cajun craze. Oh, I don't want to do that on there. Let's do it on the back and use that as a stencil. But if I have any ink left on here, I could use these as a little stencil. Oops, I suppose I should try to come more on the screen. And I don't know, Juju, I think maybe you were talking about using them as stencils. And this is all old ink on here, so it might not look as good as I had hoped. Partially because my fingers are getting in the way too. But then I'll just add a little ink to extend it. And then look, we'd have these little imprints of leaves on there to just kind of add to the autumnness. And then, you know, a whole piece of that would go on here. So it would be color coordinated. All right. So I do, now that we did that, I do like the crushed curry, or I mean the Cajun craze around the edge of these crushed curry leaves. And I'm doing blending, but I don't have my necklace on, so it's not clanking against my microphone. I think that adds a little bit of depth. Look at that. Can you tell? That's really pretty. I don't know if you can tell. Let me put those back up on here. I think that adds some nice dimension to those. Huh, who knew? Happy accidents. All right, so here we go. We have got, and this is going to be the last one I do tonight because I think, oh, I do have one more card base. I have one more card base. All right, so what I think I want to do with this one is I want to cut it long ways instead of having the strips go this way. Yeah, no chest action tonight. I took my necklace off. I thought you'd get a kick out of that. So we will, I think the plaid on the bottom will look good. So let me just trim this. And trim another little section out of there. So if we did this, and maybe add a layer. Did I use all of those? I think I used all the early espresso layers. Oh, I cut it down, that's why. So we'll do 5 3/8, 1 1/8. Oh, I didn't cut that. Oh, I'm going to have to cut. I'll cut the layers down a little bit more. So if I put that on there, I just need to cut this down by another 1/8 inch, I think. Let's see how that looks. So have a nice little early espresso border there. Now these are the same sheet, just flipped over. And I'm thinking, I wonder if I should have had that going upright. I might need to reorient that. Let me find another piece of the DSP. And I'm going to cut it so it's oriented better. I just need to find the right piece. There it is. All right. Oh, and I have to see how big this was. So 2 3/8. I think we did 5 3/8. Or did I cut an 1/8 off? Short-term memory issues. 5 1/4. All right, so I think I like this orientation better, where they're going up and down instead of sideways. They just don't look like they should be going sideways to me. So if we put this here and this here, and I don't know if I like the combination of these. What do you think? Would it be better with, maybe it would be better like that? Let me cut that down to size and see. And again, I already forgot what the measurement was. 2 3/8 by 5 1/4. I just love these papers. I think that looks better than this. That just doesn't seem like it flows as well together. All right, so we're going to do this. And these will go here. I'm going to leave that little line in between there. I don't know if we'll put, I don't know if we'll put anything in there or not. I might just leave that like that. But I did think I could use a couple of these older hoops and add some of our foliage pieces around here. And maybe I'll do the acorn piece in early espresso, but that looks all right. I'm not going to use any of the old olive on here because I don't have any old olive in that pattern. You think you like it with the gold hoops? I kind of like it. Now, these are not the new gold hoops. These are some old hoops I had that I thought I need to use. These are the new hoops. These are the new hoops, and they are huge. But I could also do like a trio at some point. I'll get there. All right, so I kind of like this. And then I want to tuck that first. And then the early espresso one on top of that. And then I think what I'll do is, I don't know that I like that piece in there. I think I'll do another acorn piece, but using early espresso because I like how that looks, how it pulls in the dark. And then I'm going to do autumn wishes. Bye, Rosa. Thanks for stopping in. I appreciate your contributions. All right, so let's do autumn wishes. And I'm going to do that on basic beige. I'm looking to see if I have a basic beige piece here. I'm going to have to go grab one. I have very vanilla. That would probably work. See you next time, Rosa. You're welcome. I'm glad you stopped in. So I'm going to put this in the middle because I may try to find a die to cut that out with. In fact, I think what would work is Spotlight in Nature or Spotlight on Nature, because we've got the circles for the hoops, and I think the circle for that sentiment would probably work well. And I think I put it on a little too small. Let me go get another piece of paper. Another piece of cardstock. I had the right idea kind of going in the middle, but I made it just a little too small. I'm going to have a little bit of a mess to clean up again tonight, or this morning rather. Let's try this again. Okay, what do I do with my ink? Here we go. All right, we'll do that in the middle again. All right, let's move that somewhere else. And I'm going to pull out, if I can find the right set of dies, I want to pull out another acorn piece. And that's too small. I want to find a bigger circle size here. That's too big. I just can't win here. I think this one is too big. And if I go to the next one smaller, that's really a tight fit, but I guess we're going to go with it. We'll see how that works. And now I need to just find what I did with my dies that have, here they are, the little acorn piece in here. The Here You Like That Going Kokalovich, I would have to do it like this way because I bumped it. Look over to the left, Fifi. You like the autumn sideways. That would be really cute because then it wouldn't hang over the ends either and get caught up on stuff. Well, that was a happy accident. A couple of happy accidents tonight. All right, let's get another piece of early espresso. And we're going to cut these out. I'm just going to run, because I am running out of space, I'm going to go over to my other machine and cut these out because that one's already set up and out. Because I've got some die cutting machines up all the time, where the ones by my crafting desk, I have them stowed below my crafting table. And then I just pull them out when I need them. There's just not enough room on that table right now to bring in any more tools. That's what happens when you make so many cards. I envision myself sometime going over to one of my other machines and then tripping on something on the way back and making a fool out of myself. But at least you wouldn't be able to see me. What do you think of that? And then we can do another little acorn piece. And then what do you think of a little irregular weave bow? What do you think of that? Does that work? I'd probably have to move this cluster over just a little bit. Yeah, if I land on the desk, that would not be fun. Because I do that'd be quite a trip because um my crafting desk is tall enough that I stand when I craft. So the crafting desk is about waist high. So Bonnie, you've got a few die cut machines too. Yeah, I only have the Stampin' Up! Ones or the ones that have been Stampin' Up! Like I've got a Big Shot and, I've got a few of them. I've got the little ones. I think I have 3 of the little ones and I think like 4 of the bigger ones altogether. But yeah. But if I have people over for classes, then I have stuff out where we don't have to trip over each other because they're kind of accessible. So, what do you think of that one? Love the trim, the irregular weave. Juju, have you used your irregular weave yet? And that got all the little bits out for me just by dropping that down like that. Do you guys ever do that? It's a good way to let, a little bit of aggravation loose. All right, let's just start cleaning up stuff so I don't lose it. There we go. Thought I lost one of my cards. You're going to hoard it for a while? Well, I think there's 10 yards on the roll, so you have enough to play with and hoard. You could do them both. All right, so we have Spotlight on Nature. I got to get these back in the right places and try to put stuff away. Although I should kind of keep this stuff out because when I go to put them on my website, then I need to know what I used because sometimes I forget. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're good there. You don't have the glass top, the glass mat here? Yes, the Spotlight on Nature dies are awesome. Very awesome. All right, so I've got my extra acorns. Those might look a little random there. I might have to do something else, but I do kind of like that irregular weave on there. I've got some extra pieces that we didn't use. So let me just scooch these over and I'm gonna get rid of a little bit more of my debris and then I'm gonna call it a night. All right, so I will glue these all together and one of these days I'm gonna get my Facebook stuff caught up a little bit. I'm a little behind on those still. And that way you guys can add some extra pieces in, some pictures of things that you're doing. I'm probably on this one. Oh, it's probably too low. You probably can't see it. On this one, because I've got the pecan pie alcohol blend to color that ribbon that I put in there, I'm going to do a couple more layers on there so it gets darker. And I may end up using some of these cards for an in-person class. I've got another one this coming Wednesday that we're doing some fall cards, but I may incorporate some of these on here because they're kind of fun. And now that I've played through all the little hiccups, it'll be easy enough to get them prepped. Is that basic beige piece embossed? No, but I think it needs to be. And then I have to add a sentiment on there too, but I use the twine. I think you came in after I was playing with my twine because I put little holes in the sides of my baggies and then I feed the ends through there so I can just unwind them without them rolling all over my table because we know how that might happen here, right? So I think I do need to emboss that. And I may use the embossing folder that has these little sprigs on it. I think that's a good idea. I just Have to find that embossing folder. Yeah, I'll find it. The bottom basic oh, this piece. No, that one's not embossed. That's the design from the designer series paper. But I could emboss it. I could do I don't know, like the basic or the forever plaid maybe. But I think this piece would probably look nice if it was embossed too. So that one just needs a little more work because I need to put the sentiment on there. But oh, thank you, Bonnie. But it's you know, when there's other suggestions that I have found, because I'm in my crafting space every day. Yeah, the new leaves. Is that the one that's got just the little strips of them, Fifi? I have it. I just don't know for sure what stack it's in right now. Oh, here it is. I found it. So this one, the gathering leaves, that's what I was thinking that I would do for at least that piece. So here, let me run this over to the machine. I have another of that basic beige piece. So I'm just going to emboss my alternate one here and try to get it straight up and down. I'm working on it. I think that's pretty good. It's close. There has been so much with the new releases that I have liked. It's been really hard to prioritize what I want and what I need. And sometimes those lines are very blurred because I need it all. But anyway, like I was saying, since I've been in my crafting space every day, I find that when I'm just doing stuff like this, things just come together and you just kind of piece things around, like all of these foliage pieces, because I cut out a bunch of them in all the different colors. Then I can mix and match as I go, and I'm not starting and stopping and starting and stopping for some of those things. And then as you put it together, like, oh, well, that looks really good together. And like this one, where I actually put some of the ink blending on there, I'm going to go back on some of these other pieces and add the ink blending because I think it really makes a big difference. So here is this little piece embossed on there, and I love texture. So I think, now this was the first one we were playing with tonight, so that's why there's not a sentiment on it, because I wanted to kind of move on and keep the cards rolling here. Yeah, if I didn't say thank you, Fifi, thank you. I'm glad you like the cards. It's just a matter of, the more you play, the more you figure out, and things just sometimes fall into place. So this one I'll have another little sentiment on here. But I like that back piece embossed. That little border piece. The other one I'll take out of there because that's just plain. But I prefer it with that embossing. Can you see that embossing on there? I don't know if you can see that very well. But this is the Gathering Leaves embossing folder. And that goes with, here's a piece of the designer series paper. And I actually used the embossing folder on there, and I'm sure you can't see that, but there's texture on here now because I ran it through the embossing folder, and that's the design of the paper. And this is from the other paper from the Autumn Toile suite, I think. So, all right, folks. I think that's a wrap for tonight. And anybody have any ideas for what they want me to use for the next one? If I have it, we can play. Or you can send me a message. Thank you, Nicole. I think it elevates it. And I might, this one, since I'm leaving, I've decided I'm leaving this little green striped piece on because I really like it. I don't want to emboss this piece because I think it's going to be too much, but I might do some ink blending on that. And then I might do a little bit of coloring on those acorns, maybe. We'll see. But I think for the most part, these are pretty much how I'm going to put them together. And I'll post these on my Facebook page when I get a little bit more caught up. So tomorrow during the day is going to be busy again. So we'll see how it goes. But thank you all for popping in. I really appreciate it. Nicole, I'm glad you're inspired. Play. Definitely play. Use your stuff. Use your stash. And if you happen to use up a whole thing of paper, yay, then you can go into the stash that you've been hoarding and play some more. So I hoard a lot less of my paper. Thanks for all the hearts, you guys. I appreciate it. I didn't get the Northern Lights, Fifi. I haven't gotten it yet. But I should because it's gorgeous paper. And I saw that paper was created using chalk. Yeah, Light and Wonder and the Northern Lights. I didn't get those products yet. But the more you play, the more you inspire yourself too. You know, you're like, oh, I like this. Let's make some more. Thank you, Juju. I'm sorry, Fifi. Don't cry. Thanks for popping in, Juju. I appreciate it. You have a good night too, Bonnie. All right. I think we're good. Thanks for popping in, everybody. I just sent a couple of closing little messages there. Until next time, happy crafting.